Okay, ladies and gentlemen, playing the part of Kramer, please welcome Michael Richards! Playing the part of Elaine, Julia Louis-Gomez! Playing the part of George, Jason Alexander! And playing the part of Jerry, please welcome Jerry Seinfeld!
My very favorite part of doing the show was that every week before the show would start, Jerry would warm up the audience.
Hi, how are you? Great. Now, let's just talk about the name Bobbit. Just the name.
Just before the warm-up guy would announce the cast and we'd come running out and say hi to everybody, we somehow formed this thing that we called the Circle of Power.
Oh yes, the Circle of Power.
The Circle of Power was when the cast would get together before every show.
It was the four of us behind Jerry's bathroom door, and we just kind of huddle up.
We'd put our hands on top of each other and go, yeah!
Like that.
Yeah! It was a ritual. We never didn't do it. I don't know what it meant. I don't know if or how it helped.
There was a superstition about it.
Just made us feel like an ensemble. The true force of an ensemble, about ready to unleash the story for that week.
A lot of times doing stuff in front of an audience, you would just get amazing performances.
When the lights came on, they just pushed it up to the Mount Everest.
Michael especially
Michael responded to the
audience.
He absorbed it.
The Seinfeld taping is definitely has a different pace to it than other sitcoms I've worked on.
We would manage to have about a third of the show left when we would bring in the audience on a Wednesday night.
More times than not, we would pre-shoot without an audience, probably outside on Monday and Tuesday, and then we'd have the audience on Wednesdays.
And usually what we would call our walk-and talks, where the guys would be walking down New York Street having a dialogue. We would perform that. Literally, the guys would walk in front of the audience back and forth on stage and reenact the scene that way. Or when they're in a car driving, we would just set up a couple folding chairs and the actors would have at it. And then we would play back scenes that were filmed if the editor was able to cut them in time.
To get a real, true audience reaction.
All that pre-shooting, a lot of times, because there was an audience present, there was no room left for laughs.
They would often miss a joke that's underneath a laugh. That is profoundly irritating.
It was frustrating hearing these tremendous laughs we were getting, but not being able to use them on air.
We would pretty much do 2 takes of each thing, maybe a pickup, and then move on, because there was so many scenes to shoot that it was just like boom, boom, boom.
And changes are continuous right up until shooting. Even when you're taping, they're still making changes.
One of the other things that you have to get used to is working on the show and there's an audience of 400 people there and there's a joke and it doesn't work and you walk onto the stage, you walk onto the coffee shop set and you talk to Jerry and Michael or Jason and you sort of have a minute, maybe less, to come up with a new joke. Then you turn around and you realize there's 400 people watching you work like that, and then you go back and you sit in front of the monitor and you hope that this one works.
It was constant listening and seeing if things were right and changing them all the time.
They got that audience in, they shot the show, and then they got the audience out. And it was a really fast-paced, fast-moving show, just the way the show plays on TV.
We would always go back to the office at the end of each shoot night.
Drink brandy, smoke cigars, pat yourself on the back.
Larry had a big board, a bulletin board, that listed every episode.
And then there would be a ceremonial crossing out of the episode on the board.
So at the beginning of the season, you know, there's like 22 episodes, and it's a long way. It's, oh my God, we have 21 more episodes after the first one.
You know, each one of these seasons was such an arduous journey, and you felt like, well, you're a little closer to getting through it.
We would always, after the shows, go to Jerry's Deli, which is down the street from the studio.
Jerry's Deli on Ventura Boulevard, had to go there, had to get the egg cream.
We would drink and eat, and it was very celebratory.
There was the same table, it was a round table out in front.
And ultimately that table was named after us. There was a plaque put up at that table
Jason and I always went, and Jerry and Larry, and a lot of the writers, most of the writers would come.
And we would usually trash each other and the guests of the week and, rehash funny little moments.
The main thing was everybody going around the table talking about what was their biggest regret of that episode. Everything was kind of dark,
And it was really the only socializing we did. Michael sometimes came and he sometimes didn't.
I never went to those. I was too tired and wanted to get my beauty rest. They'd be sitting up at night, I know there was a circle there, but everybody knew that if I wasn't there, that was part of the circle.
We developed a ritual of ordering from the menu as if we were upping the ante at a poker game.
Everybody was like, I'll see your turkey pastrami and raise you, lox, eggs, and onions.
The order had to sound good. The criteria was it had to sound good when you say it. It had to make the rest of the table go, whoa. Didn't see that on the menu.
People would be ordering just indigestible stuff, considering we were starting at 1 or 1:30 in the morning.
I do remember Jason ordering the Reuben a lot of times and walking out real slow. That Reuben would put a hurting on him.
And I ate this thing, and I remember driving home and racing Jerry. He's in a Porsche and I'm in a Toyota. Racing Jerry, and as we were going over the hill, I could feel my heart giving out. It couldn't move this sludge through, and I said, this stupid ritual's going to actually kill me.
And then a lot of times, Larry Charles and I would risk our lives on Laurel Canyon afterwards. I don't know why. I would give him a head start. I always had my Porsche, and I knew Laurel Canyon. I knew every pebble on Laurel Canyon because I would go over it back and forth every day. And I was quite expert at driving it at an insane rate of speed. And he had a Saab, which is a good car, but it wasn't as fast as the Porsche. And I would give him like a 3-minute head start. And then I would drive. I would risk the entire series, my whole life. For what reason, I don't know. And he would see those taillights coming behind him. And I would catch him by Sunset Boulevard from Ventura to Sunset. And I would run him down like a madman. And for some reason, that was a way that I guess I got some of the energy out of that week. And poor Larry, I would say, go ahead, drive as fast as you can, but I'm going to catch you.
We would shoot these shows, and the guiding principle was shoot everything, because you never know what's going to be really juicy and good. And then, the stuff that doesn't work, we'll take out. Then we wind up having to take out, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 minutes of material in any given episode.
That's pretty tough to edit that much time out of a show. And usually I would think, I'm just going to call NBC and see if I can get some extra time. But, you never could. They don't have any time to give.
I was in every room, from the writing room to the stage, to the editing room, to the rewrite, and I knew what the original intent always was.
And we always used to joke, you would really kill yourself twice. You would just batter yourself to come up with all of this material to build a 29-minute show, and then you'd sit in the editing room going, God, how are we going to cut all of this good stuff down to 22.5 minutes?
So you just had to get the shows down to time or make it an hour show. But usually you can, if you work hard enough, you could do it.
The show lived and died by the stories because in the end, when you're cutting from 29 minutes to 22.5 minutes, you're cutting a lot of the jokes anyway.
The editing process can be a very painful process for an actor, and a writer too. And so that was always a bit of an ouch.
I can't recall, though, a specific instance where I really felt like we had compromised an episode. We were trying, obviously, not to do that, but there's so much good stuff that hit the floor.
I used to say that each season was a transatlantic submarine voyage, that you would load up the sub with all the supplies. We would do pre-production, we would come up with outlines and story ideas and get as much stuff as we could in advance, but once that we shoved off and we were out into the ocean, you quickly went through your supplies about a third of the way, and then you just started eating each other to get through the season.
There's always part of you that's thinking, what am I doing? You know, for the money, you could go do any other show and be home with your kids at 7 at night. And I was working a number of times, you know, I'd be in my same clothes after working all night, sitting at my desk wondering, like, is this worth it? And ultimately, you know, you keep coming back to the same thing. Yes, it's worth it.
There were times I was completely overwhelmed, but you know, working with Larry and Jerry, you don't have the ability to say, that's it. You basically just keep going. If they're doing it, you're doing it.
Each time you got over each hurdle, when you get the idea from a writer's thing, how about this, to it being in the script, and it reads funny, and then you take it to the read-through, and that's a hurdle, and it's funny at the read-through, and then you put it up on stage, and it's funny, and you know, things would fall out at any one of these points all the time. And it was always heartbreaking. You could get it all the way to the edit, and it falls apart. You got it all that way, and right before it's just as it goes in the show, you go, that's not the right angle, and it's not funny at all now. And even though you had it all that way, and then just at the last moment, you drop the egg, splat.